Hey, it's Alan here.
And Bree. And
We
we are
are
the hunter and the hippie.
Connected through yoga and bonded by our love of the wild places and the love for outdoors, we've come together to share our conversations about life.
Well, maybe more so what we've learned or are continuing to learn about life.
And there's no one way to do it. Life, that is.
And hopefully provide you with some teeny tiny bits of inspiration to connect deeper with yourself, others, and our great Mother Earth.
All right. Enough already about the podcast. Let's just get to the podcast. Hey everyone, Alan and Bree here. You're tuning in to a two-part episode. And in this two-part episode, we're talking about a lot of things that are going on in the world. So a few things to remember. We want to make sure we get you started off right on this. A few things to remember, right? We're conversing from our perspective, as always, right? This is our perspective. That's it. There's no big T truth here, other than what we've experienced in our lives, and it's respectful conversation. We are hoping to hear respectful dialogue back as well. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us as you get into this. Some of the stuff that we talk about might be triggering, and that's cool, right? Like, let it be triggering. And I'm going to give you your journal prompt here at the beginning of this episode, so you can grab your journal and have it during the episode, during both episodes, right? The two parts. So you can write your thoughts, your feelings, whether you agree or disagree, and both are totally acceptable. And then there's also the, I don't know where the fuck I stand on a lot of this shit. Maybe you're just trying to survive. You're just trying to get by. So with that, enjoy. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us, both of us. All of our contact info is in the show notes. As well, you can find us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, all the goodies. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Bree to get us started with some breath work. And then we're just going to dive right into the conversation.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Alan. Yeah, I think just also touching on what Alan said, if you have those trigger moments, right, instead of holding it in, locking it in, like, feel it and write it down, right? The more that we trap things in our body or have resistance to whatever is, we need to kind of clear that stuff out. So use the journal as a resource, use your breath as a resource. So today we'll actually start with just kind of shaking things loose in the body. You can keep your eyes closed, you can open to a soft gaze, and then I'll invite you to just start shaking your wrists. So letting them be loose and shaking the wrists, and maybe letting that shaking go out to the arms. And if you can, maybe you kind of shake the legs. Nice. And if you can, from here, start to kind of hit your legs. So just tapping your legs, traveling up and down, and then up through your belly and your torso, maybe hitting your chest, your back. Let's hit the arms, just tapping. And then releasing the arms by the side. I don't know, if you have any medical reasons that you can't have pressure in the head, just breathe normally for this. So high blood pressure, glaucoma, anything like that, just breathe normally. Otherwise, take a deep inhale and tense the whole body. So breathing in, make fists with the hands, tense the legs, squeeze the buttocks, draw the belly in, feel tension in the whole body, squeeze, and then release and exhale. And let's do that again. So as you breathe in, tense the entire body. This time you might even scrunch the face, flexing the feet, squeezing fists, belly in tight. Feel the sensation of this tension in your body. Feel it building. And then as you breathe out, release. Let's do that one more time. Deep inhale, tense the entire body, maybe so much that it shakes. Squeeze all the tension. Squeeze. And then let go. And now let go even more. And just feel the flood of energy in your whole body. Feel the impact of this release. Feel the impact of no longer holding. Just give yourself to the experience of letting go. Of just being where you are right now. Where you are right now, whether you like it or dislike it, just being with it and feeling it fully. And breathing with it fully. Knowing that wherever you're at, however that changes, that you can always come back to your breath. And then gently drawing your chin towards your chest in a bow of gratitude for yourself. And when you feel ready, slowly fluttering your eyes open. Hey,
Hey, hey, hey.
hey, hey, Yogi Bear. Every time.
Every time. You're getting ready for hunting season. And you went shooting today.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you got to shoot more than just your hunting rifle. Tell me about it. I'm excited to hear. Tell me all. Tell me how it's going with zeroing your hunting rifle, how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And what else did you get to shoot?
I don't know what I shot. No, I'm just kidding. My zeroing in my hunting rifle is going well, but I'm still not grouping really. So I'm thinking my friend who mounted my scope just did a really great job. I don't know if that is possible.
He didn't do a good job?
No, he did a really good job because maybe it's all set and it's just me. Because nothing is... I mean... Yeah, I'm not, there's no like very clear grouping patterns. So,
Interesting.
Yeah, like my first 3 shots today were a little left. 2 were like right almost on top of each other. And then one was a little bit lower. Like maybe 3 inches and to the left. And I knew that I had gone left. Like I knew I kind of, I could tell I shot left actually for 2 of the shots. And then the next time I went, they were like a little to the right. And then 2 of them were like also on top of, kind of right on top of each other again. So like but they were that time a little, to the right. So there's nothing consistent that's happening, which means I need to shoot more. I mean, that's what it means. But also I don't think I need to adjust the scope. At least maybe, I don't know. Maybe I need to bring it into like 50 yards and try it.
Yeah, that's always like best, right? Like just get closer and closer.
Yeah.
Until you know 100% where, where it's at. But you're down to the left and you're down to the right. And you're not adjusting.
Not down up. Well, I was up left and then like a little bit down for like 2 up left together and then a little down from that. And then the next one was a little bit down and right of like the bullseye, and then they're all well, 7 of the 9 were on an 8.5 by 11 paper. The others
Which is
were
great.
just outside of the paper, like
Which is
barely.
great
Yeah,
because an elk is bigger than that, and you just got to hit that.
yeah. So that, like in the end, like I'm not. It's not like I'm shooting way off, like way off. I'm talking about a couple inches here and there, but all for the most part on paper. So
When you went from top left to like sort of bottom right.
well, it was like
you,
right. One was bottom, one was high, right? Yeah.
What did you make an adjustment to your settings and your scope?
Not my scope, no.
No. Huh.
I also changed it up. Like I was seated for one, and the others I was standing. So I'm also playing around because I have like there's kind of like a safety on the trigger, and the last time I went shooting, I was just doing one full motion. And I realized that was causing me to flinch because it was like took so long to actually pull the trigger. And this time I pulled back the safety on the trigger, paused, and then lined up and shot. And that felt a lot better. So I don't think I was, I know I was flinching before. And now I don't feel, I feel like more settled too. And I think it's because I'm pulling back on that safety.
A good little.
Yeah, so it's not such a long pull.
That's good.
So
A good little exercise you could do at home. No, of course, no ammo in your
dry fire.
No, but like set up and just practice squeezing the trigger, right?
Yeah.
Like just get in and in the military they used to set a quarter on the end of our barrel. This is with an AR though, but like they would set a quarter on the end of our barrel. And the goal is to squeeze the trigger without dropping the quarter.
Oh, cool.
With a hunting rifle, it's a little different because, like, I don't know if you have a bipod or whatever, but the goal is right, like to learn where your trigger break is, whether your trigger's great or not, or that's irrelevant. Just start to learn really where your trigger breaks, and learn to expect the surprise, right, and it hopefully teaches you not to flinch. But it's a hard thing to do. like don't like I don't know how you're feeling about it, but you like more practice, more reps, and you'll get so much better. And everyone still flinches. I still flinch, and like you just gotta. It's funny, like when I shared my elk story, I know I didn't flinch. I knew it was like a direct hit. And it was because I sat there and I did that breathing. I did like a quick meditation and allowed myself to just calm down and tune back into what I needed to do. And just the target, right? The only thing that changes is the target.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're doing everything the same, then and you have that, you just gotta get over yourself and be ready to shoot.
Yeah, I think the other part is getting so focused on like bullseye, like getting the center. And then I know like the last 2 times, not this time, the last 2 times it was like I just would spend so much time trying to get it lined up perfectly, the crosshairs, and then the more that I tried, the more I like, then you see it moving, and then you're like trying to get it, and then you're getting, and so today it was really just letting go of who cares, like where you hit, where you shoot, and then just, again, like having the safety, like the trigger safety pulled back, and then lining it up and just pulling once I felt myself lined up, versus like getting it there and trying to keep it there, because that just makes it like more wily. So
you're really in tune with your breath. Have whoever's teaching you to? I'm assuming like someone's coaching you, or you're
well, I just go with
out?
different. I've gone with different friends, and everyone has different pieces of advice. And
what have you learned about like your breath, like when you should shoot? Like has anyone told you?
Well, I had learned before any of this, like on an exhale, like at the bottom of the exhale, pausing and then shooting. And it was interesting because before I bought my rifle, I was shooting my buddy's 30-06, and I actually found when I was shooting that I tried once to do like the top, like do an inhale and then pull as I exhaled, because I was thinking in like the climbing world, right? When you like exhale when you fall, it's kind of, you learn how to train yourself how to fall with an exhale, because the parasympathetic calms everything. So I was trying to do that, and then today I went back to like exhale, and then it was kind of like I would do like multiple exhales, but because why I think before the bottom of the exhale wasn't working, because it's like then when I shot I wanted to breathe in, and that was like when I was pulling the trigger, then if I breathe in, it's like that immediate release, it's like inhale, then I'm kind of not creating that calmness. And so that's why I had tried the other way, and it kind of worked, and then it wasn't working, and I don't know. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's tough. That's good. The one thing I was gonna just like caution you on is some people will tell you like hold your breath, like take a breath and like hold it, and it works great for the first shot, right? If you know what you're doing, but then after that, like you're breathing and you're like trying to catch breath, and like you never are able to like get yourself back on target, and just holding your breath is, as right? As is just bad. I like the bottom of the breath.
Yeah.
But there's a natural pause in both, right? Like you have a natural pause at the bottom, you have the natural pause at the top. And that's when technically, right, like you should squeeze. Yeah. Because that's when everything becomes still, right? Like, and you're talking about the crosshairs, right? When you're breathing, right, things are moving. And it's when you get to that boom, right? Like as soon as, and think about it. I don't know if this helps, just potentially think about it in a sense of, don't worry. Like, like you want to squeeze right at the pause versus like squeeze and then like as you're exhaling. But I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm new to this shit.
Well, I think, it's just seeing what works for you, I think. And there's obviously like physiological things that would be better, right? Because the impact of how the breath works and that stillness and that calm. It's just like I do know that like exhaling and then pausing, like a not natural pause, like the extra holding does not work for me. So it's like exhale and wait there and pull. That's where I felt then it's like I want to breathe in, and then that means the second I pull, and as that's happening, I'm going to breathe in, which might move the rifle, but also it stirs the sympathetic nervous system too, like everything gets going. And so I think, it's that, like you said, that natural, where the breath like naturally dissipates, and it's almost like you can bring like the crosshairs down as you're exhaling, and then the moment your breath kind of naturally finishes itself, you can pull.
Right. Yeah, that's what I look for, is right. Like I never try to extend the pause, right? Like, because you always have your next breath. Right. Once you start messing with that pause, you don't get your next breath. You just screwed up your next breath. Right. Like now you're trying to pull more air in, you're doing it quicker, right? You're not, right? Like it's find that breath, and right, like it's that natural pause, like you said, it dissipates, right? And then either you pull or you don't, and then right, and then you have another breath coming.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool. Like you didn't pull. That's cool.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's what I love about it is like you always have another breath. Mm-hmm. And right, like where you might miss a shot, maybe. Mm-hmm. Who knows, right? You're not in a life or death situation where you're, a sniper in the army. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's cool though. It's cool though that you're getting to experience all this. Have you done much shooting prior to this with like long rifles?
No, I shot probably like a year and a half ago. Maybe less than a year and a half ago. I shot my friend's AR-15, and that's all. Like everything else has been pistols until this summer when I shot my friend's rifle, and then now mine. So
that's cool. So you're doing great for like this is the first time you're picking this up, and you're on paper. Right? You're doing and this is at 100 yards, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing awesome.
Thanks.
That's great to hear. Yeah, the fact that you're getting close, right? Like it sounds like you're getting 2 shots in the group.
Yeah.
Right, and then one is just going errant. You're probably just pulling or anticipating or right, like doing something that we all do.
Yeah.
And that's cool though that you're getting after it.
Yeah.
And like you said, that you're all on paper, which is fantastic. That's the, when you think about the kill zone of an elk.
Yeah,
if you're on paper, you're good.
Yeah, antelope though is a little different.
Antelope's different.
So
antelope is very different.
I do, if I want to try to film my antelope tags, I would want to. Sounds like I should get that a little more dialed in. I'm gonna do that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Are you gonna have the opportunity to get out shooting before season starts opening?
For what?
Just shooting more. Are you gonna have the opportunity to get out and shooting more?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a spot just like outside of town on BLM land that's set up with like a table and stuff, and
nice.
So I'm trying to go. My elk season doesn't open till October 15th, and then antelope just opened, I think, today or tomorrow.
Nice.
But it's a little bit longer, so.
How long is antelope season?
I think I can't remember because I can't remember. I have it all on my calendar. I think it might be 6 weeks or so.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Months. Yeah.
That's great.
I have to remember which one was which, but yeah.
So you got plenty of time to get prepped.
Yeah, I'll try to probably go shoot. I say that, but the ammo is not always available. Mm-hmm. So how much I shoot will be determined by what I can get. Empty shelves.
One more thing. Are you letting your rifle cool down?
I'll do three rounds, and then usually, because I've always been going with a friend, and then they'll shoot, and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's big time. So I don't know what brand rifle you have, but especially like I have a what's called a Tika. Mm-hmm. It's an ultralight. So it's great because it's really light. And when you're hunting for miles upon miles. In elk country, it's fantastic, but the barrel heats up really quick. And after like the first 3 shots, I mean, like I've been at the range, like super controlled environment, and like shooting like beautiful groups. And if you keep shooting while it's too hot, like just errant bullets just everywhere, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? So
yeah. No, I've been letting it cool in between. Like, I'll do 3, and then someone else will shoot. And so.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what else did you shoot?
What else did I shoot?
Like all long rifles or
no
ARs or
no handguns? A 44 mag, but it was
dirty Harry.
But it was a light weight one because it's meant for
Ooh.
traveling in the mountains. And
Lightweight isn't always a good thing. Like lightweight's good when you're lightweight's really good when you're carrying the thing.
It was really hilarious because my friend was like, do you want to, it's like, oh, do you want to shoot it? You want to shoot like one? And I was like, oh, I'll shoot a few. So he left like 3 in, but it wasn't like, cause he was going to shoot it. So he was going to fill out like the, see, I'm just still don't know
barrel,
everything. It was a revolver.
Revolver?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was going to fill all of them. And then because I was going to shoot it, he only like, and I was like, I'll do 3. So he left 3 in, but I had to then like, he's like, yeah, you should have, I loaded it the wrong way. So you should have like 3 blanks before you shoot.
Oh shit.
So it's like I had to pull it back, shoot, like pull it back, shoot.
Yeah.
And then on the third one, which I thought was still
a blank, it was
blank,
not.
it wasn't. One before I shot it, he was like, make sure you hang on really hang on tight because there's no safety. And so he was like, if you drop it, we don't want something, So he was like, you got to hold on to it. And I was like, okay.
And it's a lightweight 44 mag.
Yeah.
So you gotta hold on to it.
So
was it long barrel or short barrel?
it was a short barrel.
Shorter.
Yeah, shorter. Wow. Yeah.
Yikes.
And so I just thought it was gonna be a blank, and it shot. I was just like flying up. I was like, whoa! And my friends were both like, they saw the look on my face, and I was like, I'm good. I don't need to shoot another one. You can have it back.
Sheer surprise. That's great.
But kind of good. I mean, that's actually, our other buddy was shooting at the other table when we pulled up. And I've gone shooting with him before, and he had told me to like practice with my rifle. He's like, have someone else load it. And sometimes, and you don't look, and sometimes they won't, and sometimes they will. And so you don't know if you shoot as if there's a bullet in there, but you don't know. And then you can see what you're doing, if you are flinching or what's happening. And so I thought about that. Like he had said that right before, I did my rifle shooting, but then when I shot the 44 mag, I was like, hey, thought it was going to be a blank.
Going for a ride.
And I was like, yeah, I see what you mean by hanging on to it. Jeez.
Oh yeah. And that was my point in saying like practice at home with like dry firing.
Yeah.
Right, because like it builds up. Right, it's not as good as a surprise, like someone else loading it.
Yeah.
And yeah, 100%. Like anytime you fire a weapon, right, if you're pulling the trigger, if you're squeezing the trigger, you should be like anticipating it to go off, right? Whether there's a round or not. That's a fun lesson to learn, especially with a 44 Magnum.
Yeah.
That's gonna take you for a ride.
Oh my gosh.
So
yeah.
Those that are listening that aren't familiar, right? Like a 44 Magnum. If you've seen the movie Dirty Harry with Clint Eastwood, that what he carries and shoots is a 44 Magnum, but that is not a lightweight or a short barrel. And when you start getting rid of weight, and when you decrease the barrel size, things change. And so when you take away weight, right, like that, the weight that's originally there helps you absorb the impact, right? So having extra weight is a really good thing on a high-powered round. It's not good when you're having to lug it around, right? So that was Bree's point in saying that, right, like, oh, it's great for carrying it.
Yeah.
Right? They can be terrible to shoot. And then when you shorten the rifle, when you shorten the barrel, it's the same concept too. The person, right, have to absorb more of the energy. And so short barrel, lightweight, like yeah, you took it all. It's funny. There's a lot of guys that hunt. So there's a lot of pistol hunting, revolver hunting. And they'll hunt with 500s, which is essentially a 50 cal in revolver form. It's .500, and they like put scopes on there. Like they're crazy. These things, and like the barrels are ridiculously long, and those guys that do that will actually wear. Some of them will wear wrist guards.
Ah.
Because of the impact that it puts and strain on the ligaments in the wrist and stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah, that's a fun story though.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law. I took my brother-in-law out to shoot. I took my whole family out to shoot, but my brother-in-law was there, and he wanted to shoot I have a 7mm Magnum hunting rifle, and he wanted to shoot that, and I'm like, all right, like I had a table set up with like a bipod, and I'm like, all right. He's like, no, I want to shoot it standing up. And I was like, that's probably not a good idea. Like, you've never shot this. Like I really don't shoot my hunting rifles standing up because you just lose so much accuracy, and
Yeah.
and really, if you don't know what you're doing, like you have to know how to absorb that energy. And he wanted to do it anyway. And I was like, whatever, like, I'm going to make sure this is on video.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and so, and he's a big guy. Like, he's tall and husky, and, so, like, I'm not concerned with, like, him holding it but again, like, technique is everything in anything that we do, right? Whether it's climbing or yoga, right? The better your technique is, the more efficient you become.
Yeah.
And he's standing there, and he totally has the wrong stance, and like he's standing square against the rifle versus like staggering his legs, and I'm just like, oh man, this is gonna be good. And he's standing there, and he's holding the rifle, and he squeezes the trigger, and just everything, like the gun he held on to the rifle, but like the gun goes sky high. His sunglasses that were on flew off of his head, flew back, and like it knocked him. He like staggered back a bunch of steps. He didn't like fall on his ass, but he staggered back a bunch of steps. And sort of a similar response as like you got. He's like, I'm done shooting this. I'm like,
Yeah.
That's fun. All right, so you went Dirty Harry on us today. What else?
Oh, I don't know what the other two were actually.
Okay.
One was just a
long
small.
rifles.
One was like an old. Was an older rifle, but it's more just for like a fun. Not you wouldn't hunt with it, but I can't remember what it was.
Was there a recoil, or was it like a 22?
Oh, it was probably a 22. Yeah.
Was it like, it just sounded like a pea shooter? Like,
yeah. Super fun.
Oh yeah. So yeah, no recoil, super fun.
Yeah.
Those are awesome. Those are great rifles to shoot.
And then just like a handgun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Oh no, I didn't shoot that one actually. No, my friend did. But yeah, it was good. It's almost like the more you shoot to other stuff, like it just makes you more like I think it even helps with like for me with my rifle shooting gets better the more that I'm just shooting multiple firearms
100%.
And because it's just that like you're always going to have I think some type of reaction at some point, like whether it's noticeable or not, but to minimize that impact, and I think the more that you just shoot, it helps.
Yeah, 100%. The more you shoot, the better you are, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, right? Like you need to shoot the thing that you're going to be hunting with, but absolutely, like, and then also just to know, like this is you only own one of these, like you're getting to shoot your friend's stuff, but in our household, I've made Jessica, my wife, shoot everything. Yeah. Right. We shoot, like there's guns, like she never wants to shoot my hunting rifles. especially because they're big calibers. But I'm like, you have to shoot them, right? And it's a requirement to shoot them just so she's aware of how they shoot, right? And I don't want her to be proficient. I don't want her to be like, killing animals, right? That's not what she wants. But if it comes down to her having to, right, if there's an emergency or some reason that she needs to use any of the weapons in our house, she knows what it's going to feel like. Like she knows how to shoot it. She knows what's coming.
Yeah.
And that's important, right? Like when you pick up a 44 Magnum, now right? Like the next time you go to shoot that, you're never, right? Like it's not taking you for a ride, right? Like you will be in control of it. And you were, right? You still held on to it, which is great. But
I had loose arms. I had relaxed arms.
Right. But now now it's like, all right, like
yeah.
You learned, and now it's like, all right, when I shoot this is, expect this.
Well, and it's funny because I watched my friend shoot it before I did, and he didn't, like, we thought there was going to, because it's so much lighter and, shorter barrel, we thought it was going to kind of, give him more of a ride. And he just it was like, he was pretty solid with it. And so then I think seeing him, but he knows what it feels like,
technique.
So seeing him and I was like, yeah. And then I was like, wow. Oh boy. Anyway.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. If we're turning this into a gun show today. If you're out there, right? Like, I've always welcomed this. I've taught a bunch of friends how to shoot. I've taught my friends' children how to shoot. Yes, children. I've taught my nieces and nephews to shoot, like at young ages. I'm talking like 7 years old, right? Learning to shoot, hitting targets. If you're out there and you're interested, you have questions, reach out. I love those questions.
Yeah.
Right. With 2020, first off, right, we have the Second Amendment, right? And the Second Amendment is your right to protect yourself with a firearm. It's not your right to hunt with a firearm. Hunting is a privilege, right? It is your right to protect yourself, right? Like that is what it is there for. It doesn't say in the Constitution, in the Second Amendment, we grant you the right to bear arms to go hunting. Right, it is right. You have the right to bear arms as a well-protected, right, militia, and that's what it's there for. And understanding like what each firearm is used for is really critical. But as an American, like if you're an American listening to this, I know we have non-Americans in America, right? If you're a non-American in America and you're interested, like reach out.
Yeah,
I've taken plenty of my friends shooting and. Who are not Americans, but start exercising that right. It's you should be able to at least defend your home, right? In the case of right, maybe you don't want to carry a gun on you, but my thought is you should be able to at least defend your home and reach out. Like if you have questions. It's really funny because I have had people reach out and they're like, oh, I'm gonna get a gun and I go through a series of questions. Like there's really, again, each weapon has its purpose, and so to be like, I want home protection, I'm gonna get a 270 with a scope. That's a big no, right? Like unless you have like a moat and you're sniping people from your tower, your bell tower. It's a terrible home protect. Like I'm not grabbing my hunting rifle for home protection. and people ask, and everyone immediately wants to go to what's sexy. And my recommendation isn't for sexy, right? Like I love sexy. Don't get me wrong. Like sexy's fun, but everyone's like, oh, I want a handgun. And I'm like, okay, like, what do you want it for? Home protection? Oh, okay. Well, let's walk through some scenarios and walk them through scenarios and, ask if they have kids and ask if they've ever fired firearm before. And ultimately, typically we end up I recommend getting like like a short barrel 12 gauge shotgun. And honestly, that, in my opinion, 12 barrel 12 gauge short barrel shotgun with a flashlight on it, hands down, number one best home protection. It's the safest for you. It's the safest for your family if you have children. When you start getting into like, oh, I want a 9mm because it's sexy and I want to have a 9mm. You know, like I start advising against it unless you're trained, and yeah, there's a lot of things that go into picking a firearm. And then the second best, like, it depends on the situation and scenario, but I love ARs for home protection, especially multiple rounds, right? You know, 30-round magazines, easy access to other magazines, but by my bed, I'm no further than like 5 feet from a gun anywhere in my house. But by my bed, there's multiple, but like the thing that I would reach for is a 12 gauge with a flashlight. Right, because the flashlight, and here's the other thing: people will be like, "Yeah, get a shotgun because you can make the noise, like the pump of a shotgun."
Yeah.
And my advice is always, there's only one noise coming out of my shotgun, and you're not gonna like it. And right, like you're not gonna hear that, right? Like when I did my first concealed carry class when I was 21. A Phoenix police officer was teaching it, and the question got asked a bunch about, like, you know, do you keep one in the chamber? And again, because like you see these movies, right? Like everyone, like Hollywood, like makes that racking noise, like, oh, that's cooler, the shotgun, you know, racking the you know, the slide. You know, that's cool and it'll be deadly, and if the enemy has a gun, you're dead.
Yeah.
Right? Like the time that it takes for you to put a round in the chamber was your time to potentially fire. And that's what she taught. She's like, you should always have a round in the chamber. Always. Period. End of story. Right? And it's funny, like I'll have people argue that and they'll say no, and like, you do you. But every gun of mine, if it's meant for home protection or it's on me for self-protection,
yeah,
there is a round in the chamber.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's, you know, what you were, you know, I interrupted while you were talking about your wife shooting every firearm. But it's like, it's not only for her to know what it feels like to shoot it, but also then she knows all the safety components of it, right?
100%.
She knows if something happens to be lying around, and not necessarily at your house, but somewhere else, like she can identify you. The more you work with the different firearms, the more you know what to look for to make sure that the safety components are all in the right, you know, in safe mode.
Yeah.
The safeties are on, you know, and
safeties are on, or you know how, right? Like if you're ever handed a weapon, you know how, like if I hand my wife a weapon, she knows exactly what to do. Checks, right? First thing you do is, right, you always treat it like it's loaded, but you check to see if it's loaded.
Yeah.
It's the very first thing you do when you're handed a firearm.
Yeah.
Whether the person says this is loaded, this isn't.
Yeah.
Like, you could say this is loaded, and I'm like, great, I'm still gonna check.
Yeah.
You know, I could look at the gun inside the barrel, see that it's not loaded, hand it to you.
Yeah. And
you can literally hand it immediately back to me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to check to see if there is a round in the chamber.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like when you know how to shoot every gun that you own or every gun that's in your house, it becomes less daunting when you're around it, you know, or if you're in a situation where, oh, there's a firearm.
Yeah.
You know, oh, I could probably figure this out. I haven't operated this one, but I could probably figure this out.
But that's where I think I don't know if we have talked about this on an episode, but people want to just condemn or demonize the things that they don't understand, and firearms are 100% that. And it's like, I actually encourage everyone should take some type of firearm safety course. Like mine was Hunter's Ed, and it was incredibly informative. And even if you don't plan to own one, just to understand it instead of just saying like this like I think there's also so many misconceptions of what different kinds of firearms can do and what it takes to like get to the point of shooting them. And so then they're like, well, this is why there's all these shootings, or this, that, and the other. And it's,
right. That's a fully automatic
without knowing anything about it. Right.
Right. There's a saying about, right, like automatic. It's funny because like a lot of people think, oh, that's an automatic weapon, and you hear that all the time on the news because that's the slander and the propaganda they spew. But there's a saying. It's automatics are for actors and assholes. Like there's, if you, when you're in the military, you do get access to fully automatic weapons.
Yeah.
Which is a fucking blast. P.S. I highly recommend you join the military pronto just to shoot those weapons. But when you're operating a fully automatic weapon, it's likely there's a selector switch to not have it be fully automatic. There, like an AR or an M4 in the military, there's 3 options on your selector switch, which is safe. 4 options. Sorry, well, it depends on, right. So it could be safe, single fire, right? So which is semi-automatic, right? So people hear automatic and they just assume, right? So you have semi-automatic, which is 1 bullet fires every time you squeeze the trigger. Right? So you have to squeeze the trigger, release the trigger, right? And as fast as you can pull the trigger, bullets are going to fly. Then you have 3-round burst, which is you squeeze the trigger once and it fires 3 times. Or you have fully automatic, which is if you squeeze the trigger, as long as you hold the trigger, it's just going to keep firing. And you're taught not to use fully automatic. Like fully automatic, again, it's for actors or assholes, right? Like you see it in the movies, and it's a waste of ammo. You get nothing from, even with like machine guns, right? Which is totally different. Then you'll hear ARs called machine guns, which is I find hilarious. Right, like a machine gun, like a M249 SAW or an M60 machine gun, right, which is like belt fed, and you have barrels that could be swapped out for heating purposes. Even those you don't fire. You're taught to fire them in bursts, right? So it's a burst and you release, a burst and you release, and so all this crap that you learn about in the media. Most civilians, right? You can actually, as a civilian, you can get access to fully automatic weapons through a process through the ATF. They're class 3 weapons. They're really hard to, the bureaucracy that goes into it and the amount of money that's required. First off, a fully automatic weapon is fucking expensive. But then the licensing from the ATF and the background checks that are required are just insane. So most laymen don't own fully automatic weapons.
Yeah.
But we should be able to. I will fucking fight that till I'm dead.
Yeah, I think, and that's the misconception, because what gets advertised is through the media when things happen, or as if anyone can pick one off, walk into a gun shop and
just pick up a gun.
Yeah.
Fully automatic, like they just hand them out like candy.
So just understand it before you ban it.
Yeah, right. And that's ultimately what I'm saying is reach out. Like if you have questions, reach out. If I grew up, I've shared my story. I grew up in New York. Grew up in New York City, where guns were bad. Period. Like that's what I learned. That's what I was conditioned for. Was guns were bad. And then I started to question, wait, why do the criminals have guns and I don't? And that's when things started to shift for me and hunting and stuff like that. But yeah, so
and bad things do. I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
And I think it was actually in junior high, there was a kid who was pissed off at his parents that he wanted to go to this sporting goods sale and they wouldn't, and he went and grabbed his father's gun and didn't think it was loaded and walked down the stairs and was like mad and shot himself and killed himself.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like this was in junior high, and it was like like that was my first probably experience with guns was and so
which is not a good experience.
No, and it's not like, and it's horrible, and I'm not saying horrible things don't happen. I mean, we obviously see it because it is on the news, and those things do happen. But the more that I don't know how his parents had educated him around guns, right? But it's like you said, like that's the safety thing. If I'm sure he did not want to kill himself being pissed off about not going to a sporting good thing. But if he's not educated about it, he's going to treat it like a toy, right? And that's that important piece is if you're not around it, you don't know how to handle it. You're going to probably be scared of it because you do know the repercussions of it, which is understandable. You should, even if you are around it, not be scared about it, but know that it's serious when you handle one.
You should have a healthy respect for firearms and what they're capable of.
Yeah. And so, like, I do want to touch on that. Like, we're not just being like, oh, like, bad things don't happen because of them. Yeah. Absolutely. That's true with everything. But it doesn't mean, because some bad things happen, doesn't mean we should get rid of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. And how many good things also come from them, right? You look at hunting, you look at self-protection. It sucks, right, that the media doesn't do a good job of reporting the people who had to use their firearm for protection. We heard about we hear about a few of them, but it's very rare. And there was the church in Texas. The shooter came in and, like, you got to be stupid. That's the other thing. Like, in my mind, I'm agreeing with you. First off, let me acknowledge what you said in the sense that, right, bad things happened, and they happen with guns, and but I can promise you, trying to make more gun laws is not the answer. And here's why. There's already 20,000 gun laws. I'm not making that number up. There's actually 20,000 plus gun laws at the federal level. You think you have the magic one, right? Like, you think, oh, this one is going to stop gun violence. It's education. And that's, you hit the nail on the head, right? It's all about education. These aren't toys, right? They provide fun, they provide entertainment, but they're not to be treated as toys. Again, a healthy respect. And we have, what was I saying before I went there? Do you remember? Before I went down to gun laws.
Texas.
Texas. Yeah. So there's the saying, an armed society is a polite society. Like, I don't care who you are. If you walk into anywhere in fucking Texas expecting to shoot someone and not get shot back, you are fucking dumb. Like, you are the epitome of dumb, right? Like, that is the one place in this country that, you know, it's so funny because Texas is fucking, it's great in so many aspects. And this is one of them, right? Like, you even go to a place like Austin, where it's, right, like the motto of Austin is keep Austin weird. And if you've never been to Austin, Austin is very much like Boulder. It's very much like Portland. Mm-hmm. It's a bunch of fucking hippies, right? Like, it's, you know, it is a really cool town. Mm-hmm. Everyone there still carries guns. The hippies carry guns. Like, it is the weirdest place you've ever been to, right? Like, if you, again, I'll say it again, if you go to Texas, like, don't try to shoot anyone because you're going to get shot, right? Like, and it was a perfect example of, right, it was the church shooting, I think it was last year. A guy walked into a church and he opened fire, and instantly there was like 3 people that pulled out guns and they shot and killed him.
Yeah.
And you know, and that did not get anywhere near the level of publicity that it should have. None of them do, unless it's bad, right? Because it doesn't fit the agenda. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and I'm a firm believer, right? When you go back to being raised in New York, or no, just recently, actually, I saw a video, Beverly Hills, people eating at a restaurant in Beverly Hills. Mm-hmm. And 3 robbers with guns come up to patrons outside, sitting at a table outside, waving guns in their face, give me everything, rob them, right? Get off, you know, with all their stuff. That's it. Mm-hmm. Right? Why? Right? They're sitting ducks. Mm-hmm. Those people, right, the bad guys with the guns, know 100%, right, because you cannot, right, to get a concealed carry in California is absurd. Mm-hmm. Most people can never get one. Mm. Right, you have to be like ex-law enforcement, and there's all sorts of rules about carrying weapons, and yeah, you'll never catch me living in California. P.S. Yeah. But mainly for that one reason.
Amongst many others.
Amongst many others, yeah. But like,
says someone who grew up in California. Okay, just so you know. I don't talk smack unless I've been. No, I'm just kidding. I love all my people who live in California. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to live in that state.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And, you know, my wife asked me, she's like, where would you live? And I was like, wherever I'm allowed to carry a gun. Mm-hmm. And that's a firm stance, right? Like, because here's why. No one is coming to save you. Mm-hmm. Period. When you truly fucking understand that, you understand the importance of our Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. No one's coming to save you, right? You call the police when you're a victim. Mm-hmm. That's when you call the police, after the crime has already happened, right? And I'm never going to be a victim. Mm-hmm. And I travel with a gun. Like, I went to Alaska. I bring a firearm to Alaska. It doesn't matter where I go. I travel with a firearm. Mm-hmm. I have a luggage safe. It's funny. I have tracking on my safe. What's really cool is if you ever want to never lose a bag on an airline, mm-hmm. put a gun in it. Like, they treat that shit like gold. Yeah. You will never have your luggage lost if there's a weapon in your luggage. Yeah. It is fantastic. But yeah, like, I won't live in California. I won't live in Oregon. You know, New York, if I can't carry my firearm and protect myself, mm-hmm. and, you know, I've been asked, what are you afraid of? Nothing. Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of it. I'm not afraid of anything. That's what's great, is I don't need to be afraid of anything. Mm-hmm. Right. I don't need to be afraid of thugs coming up and trying to steal my shit or. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, it's.
Yeah.
You're lucky.
Yeah,
my tangent would have been far more. People might start labeling me a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, probably.
So it's a good thing you did a tangent, not me. If you want to follow us and our adventures, you can find both of us on Instagram. I'm at Bree Allison. That's BreAllison.
And I am at The Life of Alan Tatone, underscores between each word. To check out our offerings, yoga, one-on-one trainings, workshops, retreats, and a recorded library, you can find the info on our website, thehunterandthehippie.com.
If you have questions for the podcast, about the podcast, feedback, suggestions, or just want to say hi or find ways to work with us, our email is thehunterandthehippie@gmail.com. And don't worry, all of this will be in our show notes.
Thanks for tuning in
Hopefully you weren't tuned out.
to the Hunter and the Hippie podcast.